Let's deep dive into a mind-blowing YouTube podcast created by artificial intelligence, where you will hear conversations by two AI agents in a way you've never imagined before. This isn't just a podcast, it's a journey into the future, crafted by AI, designed for you. Ready to have your mind blown? Let's begin.
All right, ready to dive deep into Atomic Habits.
Let's do it.
This book, everybody's talking about it, and, we want to get into that James Clear wisdom.
Absolutely.
But maybe you don't want to read the whole thing.
Right.
That's kind of our mission today. We're going deep on this one, especially for those of you who already, follow this stuff.
Definitely familiar with the ideas.
Yeah, and one of the things he says is that a 1% improvement each day
1%, yeah.
can make you like 37 times better in a year.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It's a pretty big claim. So let's unlock those secrets with our expert guide.
Well, that 37x figure definitely grabs your attention, right?
It does.
What's interesting is that it kind of plays on how we think. Like, we overestimate what we can do quickly, but underestimate the power of just doing small things consistently.
So it's not about like crazy crash diets
No, not at all.
or like overnight success stories.
It's more like building a wall, brick by brick. Each small improvement is a brick, and consistency is like the mortar that holds it all together.
I like that.
Clearly uses the British cycling team as an example. They went from kind of average to world champs by focusing on tiny improvements, these marginal gains.
Right.
But thinking about it, I found an example that I think is even more surprising.
Oh, okay. I like it.
All right, so picture a hospital, right?
Okay.
And think about their hand washing routines. Seems kind of boring, but a 1% improvement there, like if everyone just got a little bit better at consistently washing their hands, could actually save lives.
That's a good point.
The book doesn't specifically talk about that, but it shows how this idea can be used anywhere. So think about what you do. What could a 1% improvement every day do over a year?
It's a good point because, a lot of times people are trying to build new habits. They try to change everything at once.
Yeah, you try to do too much.
It's just so overwhelming. You just give up.
Right, so how do we actually DO this? Clear gives us a framework. He calls them the 4 laws of behavior change.
I like a good framework.
Yeah, this is for building good habits, A and D, breaking bad ones. And it's based on science, not just motivational stuff.
Okay, break it down. What's the first law?
The first law is make it obvious. It's all about those cues that trigger our habits.
Okay.
Think about it like this. You want to work out more, but your weights are hidden away in a closet. You probably won't use them.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly. So make the cues for good habits super obvious. You want to drink more water, leave a full water bottle on your desk, want to read more, put a book on your pillow.
So I'm setting myself up for success.
Right. Make the good habit the easy choice.
Okay, I like that. What's the next one?
Law number 2 is make it attractive.
All right.
We naturally seek pleasure, so pair something you want to do with something you enjoy doing.
Okay.
Say you want to meditate, but you get bored. Listen to some calming music while you do it. Now it's not a chore anymore.
So I'm like working with my brain,
Exactly.
not fighting it. Like instead of I have to exercise, it's I get to listen to my favorite podcast while I exercise.
Yeah, that's the idea. Clear talks about this study where people were more likely to work out if they watched their favorite TV shows at the same time.
Oh, interesting.
It's about making the experience so enjoyable that you actually look forward to it.
That's a game changer.
Mhm.
Okay, law number 3.
This one builds on what we talked about before about friction.
Okay.
Make it easy. The easier a habit is, the more likely you'll do it. And the harder a bad habit is, the less likely you'll do that.
Okay.
So, want to cut back on social media? Delete those apps off your phone.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, but it works. It's about setting up your environment to make good choices easier and bad choices harder.
I'm seeing a theme here. It's not about just willpower. It's about smart design.
Exactly.
Okay, what's the final law?
The 4th law is make it satisfying. We're more likely to do things again if they feel good. The Clear points out we're not really rational. We're emotional, and then we rationalize things.
That makes sense.
So give yourself rewards that make you want to keep going.
This is where those habit trackers come in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Seeing your progress visually can be really motivating. Even that feeling you get after a good workout, that can be enough.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a huge reward, just something that feels good.
Exactly. That immediate reward helps your brain connect the action with the positive feeling. Okay, so we have these 4 laws, but how do they work? in real life.
Yeah.
That's where the habit loop comes in. So the habit loop, it's this cycle that's behind pretty much everything we do.
Yeah.
You don't even realize it most of the time. It's this feedback loop with these 4 stages. Cue, craving, response, and then reward.
Okay. Break that down. How does that actually work in real life?
All right, so let's say you're trying to cut back on sugar.
Yeah.
But you always want something sweet after dinner. So the time of day after dinner, that's your cue. Then you get the craving. Your brain remembers how good that sugary treat was.
Yep.
So you go for the cookie jar. That's the response.
Right.
And then you eat the cookie and you feel good. That's the reward.
Right.
The problem is every time you do this, it makes that connection in your brain stronger.
Yeah.
Makes it harder to resist next time.
So it's not really about willpower then?
No, it's more about recognizing this pattern that's happening.
Okay.
The good news is once you know about it, you can change it.
Oh, okay.
So instead of reaching for that cookie jar, maybe you have some fruit or go for a walk.
So I'm giving my brain a different option.
Exactly, a healthier one.
Okay.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Clear says focusing on who you want to be, not what you want to achieve, that leads to bigger changes. This is where identity comes in.
Okay, so how does that work?
Yeah.
How does identity play into this whole, habit thing?
So think of it like this. If you see yourself as a non-smoker, you're less likely to smoke, even when you're stressed or out with friends. Your actions line up with how you see yourself.
Okay.
It's not just about trying to quit. It's about being someone who doesn't smoke.
So it's not, I want to lose weight. It's, I'm a healthy person.
That's a great example. It's a small difference,
Right.
but really changes how you think.
Right.
And Clear says those little wins, those times you act like the person you want to be, that helps you stick with the new behavior.
So it's like I'm proving to myself that that's who I am.
Exactly.
That's got to be more motivating than just, checking things off a list.
It's about the big picture, but we can't forget about our environment.
Oh, okay.
It really shapes what we do, even if we don't realize it.
So it's not just what's going on in my head.
No, it's the whole world around you, too.
Okay.
Imagine you're trying to eat healthy, but you work in a bakery.
That's a bad combo.
Right. You're surrounded by fresh bread and pastries all day.
You'd have to have superhuman willpower.
Exactly. So the idea is to set up your environment so that it helps you, not hurts you.
Yeah. Okay.
Want to read more? Make a comfy reading spot at home?
Yeah.
Want to cook more? Make sure your kitchen's clean and organized.
Okay.
And if you want to sleep better, make sure your bedroom is dark and quiet.
Right. Like a cave.
Yeah, like a cave. So like we were talking about with those 4 laws, you want to make it easy to do the right thing.
Okay.
But what about those times when you hit a wall?
Yeah.
You're doing everything right, but you're not seeing results.
Oh, I've been there.
That's where the plateau of latent potential comes in. Basically, progress isn't always a straight line.
Oh, okay. So I'm not failing. I'm just...
You're in the underground growth phase.
I like that.
Like that bamboo plant Clear talks about.
Okay.
It spends years growing its roots underground before it shoots up.
Okay, I like that visual.
So this is why it's so important to keep going. A lot of times, you're about to give up right before you see real progress.
It's about trusting the process, even when I don't see results right away.
Exactly.
I think that's a really good point for, for our listener who's clearly into long-term growth.
Yeah, building good habits, it's like learning anything. You need patience.
Right.
And you have to stick with it. The rewards come to those who don't give up.
Right. So we've talked about building good habits, but how do we break bad ones?
So here's where we use those 4 laws again, but this time we reverse them.
Cool.
So instead of making it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, we make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying.
Okay.
We're making those bad choices harder to make.
So if I was trying to, I don't know, stop checking social media all the time.
Great example.
I could delete the apps, right?
Yeah.
Make it invisible.
Exactly.
And then I could remind myself of how much time I'm wasting. Make it unattractive.
Right.
Maybe use some website blockers. Make it difficult.
Yeah. And you could even set some consequences if you slip up.
Oh, okay. Make it unsatisfying.
Yeah. You got it. You're using those same ideas, but this time you're using them to stop the behavior.
Okay.
And remember, it's not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about making progress. If you mess up, just acknowledge it and keep moving forward.
It's about those small wins over time.
Exactly. And that brings us to some tools that can make this whole process easier. So we've got those 4 laws to help us break those bad habits.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to make things easier, not harder, right? So what are some of those tools that Claire was talking about?
Well, one that's really effective is habit stacking.
Okay.
So you're basically adding a new habit onto an existing one.
Okay.
Like, you already make coffee every morning.
Yeah.
While that's brewing, you could do a couple minutes of stretching or write down a few things you're grateful for.
So I'm using that existing routine.
Exactly.
So like kickstart something new.
You got it.
I like it. It makes it less overwhelming.
And you're not relying only on willpower. You're using the way your brain already works. And that leads to another tool, the 2-minute rule.
Okay.
It's all about making it super easy to start. Instead of an hour-long workout, just tell yourself you'll do 2 minutes.
Yeah, because 2 minutes of anything, you can do it.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Once you've started, you're more likely to keep going. It kind of breaks that mental barrier.
I like it.
And then there's tracking.
Okay.
Clear's a big fan of keeping track of your progress visually.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you use an app or a journal or just mark it on a calendar.
I'm a visual person. I get that. Seeing that progress is really motivating.
Yeah, for sure.
It helps you stay accountable, too.
Accountability is super important.
Yeah.
And when you track things, you start to see those patterns,
Okay.
those triggers that might be messing you up. It's like having data about yourself.
Okay, so we've got the 4 laws.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the habit loop, the power of identity, our environment, tracking. And there's one thing I feel like we haven't really talked about.
Oh, what's that?
Community. Like, I usually think of this stuff as a solo mission. Where does community fit into all of this?
Well, humans are social creatures.
Yeah.
It's like if everyone around you is ordering pizza, it's really hard to stick to your salad.
It's true. Peer pressure is real, even as adults.
It is. But it works the other way, too.
Okay.
Having people around you who support your goals can be really motivating. Find your people, whether it's a running club or a book club, or just some friends who are trying to live a healthier life.
So it's not just about willpower. It's also about finding that support system.
Absolutely. Don't try to do it alone.
I love it.
Share your goals. Find people to keep you accountable. Celebrate each other's wins. It makes it more fun, and you're more likely to succeed. But beyond all the tactics, Clear really emphasizes your mindset.
Okay, so let's talk about mindset. What's the big takeaway there?
Well, it's about having a growth mindset. Seeing yourself as a work in progress.
Okay.
It's not about being perfect. It's about always trying to improve. Those setbacks, those slip-ups, they're not failures. They're just opportunities to learn.
So like if I miss a workout
Yeah,
or I eat a bag of chips, I shouldn't beat myself up about it.
exactly. Just get back on track. It's all part of the process.
Yeah.
And this isn't just about habits. It's about learning anything new. Don't be afraid of challenges.
Right.
Be curious about your mistakes and keep trying new things. That's how you really grow.
Wow, this deep dive has been amazing.
Glad you enjoyed it.
It's given me a whole new way of thinking about building better habits. Any final words of wisdom before we wrap up?
I think Atomic Habits is more than just a self-help book. It's really about how to live your life on purpose.
Okay.
When you understand how habits work, you can design your own future,
Yeah,
one small change at a time.
I love it. It's all about those small improvements.
1%.
Yeah, 1% day after day. And it can lead to some pretty incredible results. And remember, it's never too late to start building those habits that are going to make you the best version of yourself.
Oh.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.